So the other example that you guys mentioned that had three pieces of information with at least one side that couldn't be solved with the sine law is if you had all three sides and none of the angles. So here I'm going to draw a triangle KMN. K to M is 16, K to N is 11, and M to N is 6. Obviously mine is not drawn to scale. All the sides look pretty much the same. And we want to determine the measure of angle M. Now with the cosine law, we could determine the measure of any of these angles. But now we're going to go to our formula sheet, and since we're finding an angle on our formula sheet, we're going to use this formula. And the key thing in this formula is whatever angle we're trying to find, its opposite side goes there. The other sides, it doesn't matter which one you pick as A and which one you pick as B and what order you put them in. So if we're trying to find angle M, then we have to make sure that the 11, that's the opposite side of that, goes in that highlighted part. So we're not really worried about rearranging all the letters, but just focusing on what's the angle and side that are opposite of each other. So now if I want to find cos of angle M, doesn't matter which one I pick as A and which one I pick as B, as long as I'm subtracting that 11 squared that's opposite it. All divided by 2AB. Again, we can type this all into our calculator all at once. It's a big fraction, so it makes sense to go to our menus, alpha, y1, and go to our menu to write this as a fraction. 16 squared plus 6 squared minus 11 squared divided by 2 times 16 times 6. Maybe you'll get a fraction, depends what mode you're in. I'm in math print, it looks like. I'm going to put it in decimal. See if that changes. Did you get decimal 890625? So now we can write that in cos of M (890625). Now, according to our cast rule, cos is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, but there's never really the same kind of ambiguous case with cosine, because if we take the answer in quadrant 4, it never makes sense for a triangle, because triangles have to add up to 180 degrees. So the only angle we'll look for is that one in quadrant 1. Now how do we find an angle? We do cos inverse. So cos inverse of that answer, 27.0 degrees, says to the nearest degree. So 27 degrees. So we have our angle to the nearest degree. We could have solved any angle first, and it wouldn't have mattered which one we chose. But if we solved for angle N, then we'd have to make sure we were subtracting 16 squared. If we were solving for angle K, then we would be subtracting 6 squared. Because that angle and opposite side always go together. And that's a key thing for these. So if we look at part B, do you want to try B on your own? Why don't I give you a head start? Try B on your own. So, did everybody draw out the triangle? Did you get negative 0.5625? Now, according to our solving things that we've done up till now, If you get cos is negative, what quadrants could it be in? It could be in quadrants 2 and 3. Now, if you use the same technique that we did before, you might have drawn a little triangle and imagined something in quadrant 2, made a right angle triangle. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. If I made this into a fraction, I could put it over 1. And this is what we did before, and you could draw this out and put 0.5625 as your adjacent side. Here's my reference angle, and here's 1. And then you could do cos inverse to find your reference angle, and do 180 minus your reference angle. That's what we did in section 6.1 and 6.2. And if you were trying to get both quadrant 2 and quadrant 3, that's what you would need to do, because you would need your reference angle. But if you go to your calculator, how many people went to their calculator and just did cos inverse? If you just do cos inverse right away, you do get the answer in quadrant 2. 124.2, or t is equal to 124 degrees, is the answer in quadrant 2. It doesn't help you find the answer in quadrant 3, but the answer in quadrant 3 in a triangle question won't make sense because it's more than 180 degrees. So your calculator, if you get a negative value for cos, will find the right answer in quadrant 2. What we did in 6.1 and 6.2, you would still need to find your reference angle first, and then you could find your answers in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. Yes? It'll be in degrees.
No, for calculator, it's going to be on.
It's on calculator, yes. Now for this question, the ones you can do for practice are 5 and 7.